What's going on YouTube? So there are tons of compact crossovers out there. However, one competitive offering that's often overlooked by people is this Mitsubishi Outlander. It just got a significant refresh, and now this year, it's getting a new mild hybrid powertrain and some new trims. So is this just what the Outlander needed to put it on your shopping list against things like the RAV4 and CR-V? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Like always, let's get things started here with a quick spec dump. So under the hood of this Outlander, you'll find a new 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with a mild hybrid system. This together makes 174 horsepower. It's paired to a continuously variable transmission, and with the front wheel drive model we have today, you have a combined fuel economy rating of 28 mpg.
Now, the base price of the Outlander for 2026 is about $30,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, later on in this review, you will be taking this new powertrain out for a test drive and then cover things like resale and reliability.
First, let's go ahead and close up the hood because we need to take a look at the exterior as well as the surprisingly luxurious cabin. Now, jumping into the exterior design. Like I mentioned, this did just receive an upgrade in this area last year. And what Mitsubishi did was come in here and kind of reshape the overall grille just a little bit, refining the details, making this look a little bit more sophisticated. Now, what is new for 2026 and important is the fact that you've got some new trim additions to the lineup. One of the big ones is that there'll now be an LE trim level that will fit between the base ES and then the SE trim levels. You're also going to have the addition of a black edition, and you're also going to have a Rally Art model, plus the Trail edition that they added late last year. So there's really a lot more choices than ever before. Now let's take a look at the headlights. So you have a standard full LED headlight. It's separated into 3 different units here, basically. So at the top, you've got your LED turn signal indicator and daytime running light. Then you have your actual reflector LEDs through here, and then most models will also come with the LED fog lights located slightly below. Moving on to the wheels, you have several different choices between 18 and 20-inch alloys. One of the nice things about the Outlander is that most trims actually have a 20-inch alloy. We've got the contrast finish, which I think looks really nice and premium, and then if you choose the Trail edition, that will get you an all-terrain tire. Also, if you don't really like cladding, the Outlander doesn't have a lot of it, just a little bit around the wheel arches here, and then none of it down here on the lower part. Moving up here to our mirrors, we have standard blind spot monitoring, and we also have power folding abilities in addition to heating.
Now, here at the side of the Outlander, it's going to be coming in at an overall length of about 185.8 inches long, which is about a little bit larger than its platform mate, the Nissan Rogue. Now, as far as designs for this model, you're going to have some nice features here on this top trim, SEL. You're going to have a little bit of a chrome accent going throughout the back, some black elements here through the middle, and that connects to the available black roof that you can get on upper trims of this model. You also get standard roof rails on your top models as well. Overall, I think it's a pretty spicy design for this segment. But as we head around to the rear here, you're going to continue to see some of those refresh changes that debuted last year for this model. As far as your major elements, you're going to have a pretty substantially sized wing spoiler up here at the top. And below that, we're going to have an exposed rear window wiper. And let's take a look at our taillight unit. For the refresh, you got more of a smoked design, and then you're going to have a full LED unit for this model. Not everyone in this segment does that. Now you'll have some chrome branding, but let's look at the lower bumper area. It's going to be pretty premium as well, mostly body color with kind of a silver accent for this trim level. No exposed exhaust outlets, but you can tow up to 2,000 pounds. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, I'm a little sad to say that not all of your systems are standard equipment here on the Outlander. You do have to get more of an upper trim to unlock things such as adaptive cruise control as well as lane keeping assist. I wish they would update that for this model. But there is a really nice interior to check out on the inside, so let's get into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, now let's move to the inside. First, here's our key fob. You can see it's the typical Mitsubishi key fob. You have a smart entry system for most trim levels. And that means you can just come up to the door here, press that black button, and that will unlock it. You'll also see the mirrors will fold outward at that time. All right, and let's check out this interior. Now, you heard me say it was surprisingly luxurious, and if you've seen any of our past Outlander reviews, you'll know that this cabin has a lot of kind of luxury touches you really don't expect to see in this class of vehicle. Now, that really begins with these seats. So since we have the SEL with the premium package, we have a semi-aniline leather seat. That's right, a quilted semi-aniline leather seat. It's really a beautiful design, a very soft and supple leather, and I love this brown color that we've selected as well. All this together just looks very upscale. Now, obviously, the lowest trims will come with cloth seating, and then leatherette will be the middle seating option. Now, down here at the bottom, you'll see the seat adjustments. You have 8 ways of power adjustment with 2-way lumbar support. Also, starting at the middle trims and above is where you get your memory seats. But let's go ahead and climb inside to get into all the individual details. The first detail to get into is the rest of the cabin materials. So over here on the door trim, you'll see it's covered in almost entirely in a leatherette with the same brown color and stitching details in the center section. As we go to the upper dash, this is finished in a soft touch plastic all through here. More of the brown leatherette is through the center section as well as through here. A little bit of piano black accenting. And then even down here on our lower panels, this is all covered in a nice padded leatherette. Feels very solid and well put together. And then some piano black through the center section there. Also, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but you have speaker grills with the audio system that look like real metal. And I think that's a nice touch. Now we'll fire it up with the push button start. Now that it's all fired up, the first place we need to start with is the gauge cluster. So as you can see, we've got a full digital gauge cluster. It's 12.3 inches. This will be on your upper end examples. Your lower end examples will have a 7-inch reconfigurable display instead. Nevertheless, you can reconfigure certain details inside of this, including putting in your map display. Now, one of the nice things about this model specifically is the fact that we have the available head-up display. That's something that several in the segment do not offer at all. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, we have the latest Mitsubishi design here with forward spokes. It is heated on your SEL grades and manual tilt and telescoping. And then as we turn over here to interior storage, this is something that they did revise a little bit last year just to make it more useful overall, and that includes our center console space, which, as you can see, we've loaded some donuts inside. That's because we, of course, like to do the signature Car Confections donut test, and the Outlander fits 10 donuts inside, so just a little short of the dozen to pass the test, but still pretty competitive for the segment. Now in front of that, you have your 2 cup holders, and then you have a wireless phone charging pad and a little bit more storage. Right next to that, you have an electronic style shifter, very similar to what you get on most Nissan products. Just pull back for drive. You can bump back again if you want to go into a manual shift simulation mode, and you have paddle shifters on the steering wheel for that. Pressing up and going into reverse, you'll be greeted with either a standard backup camera or this 360-degree camera system. As you can see, this gives you the access of an overhead view in addition to your regular view. You also have front and rear parking sensors. And we have an electronic parking brake with brake hold. Just press that P right there on top to park the vehicle. And then right behind that, you have a very prominent drive mode controller where you have several different selections you can choose from. Now let's carry on into the center section. Nothing real complicated at all about the climate controls. We've got a dual zone automatic system or a 3-zone automatic system. That's going to depend on if you choose a top example or one of the lower models. This 3-zone automatic system, like I was saying, is very simple to use. You're just going to twist those big knobs. You can also adjust the rear temperature from up here in the front. You also have your heated and ventilated seat controls. By the way, heated seats are standard on all models with all-wheel drive. But let's move on up to another knob, and that is our volume knob. Like I was mentioning earlier, we have the Yamaha sound system, but we have actually the highest end Yamaha Ultimate sound system with 12 speakers. Let's give that a sample right now and see how good it is. Yeah, I think this is a very nice sounding sound system. It really fills up the cabin well and has a good amount of bass and balance. All right, so let's check out next the infotainment system. So the Outlander moved to a standard 12.3-inch display across the entire lineup. That's what you're looking at right now, of course. And the software that's powering this is a very similar software to what you've probably seen on many Nissan products. That means you have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You also have a built-in navigation system on many models, and that's what that looks like right there. The overall performance of this system is fairly snappy, and you do get some pretty interesting animations as well. Now, rising above here, we've got the highest end mirror option. It's going to be the digital camera rearview mirror. This is part of the SEL Premium package, and you also have HomeLink universal remotes built into that. And then I'll go ahead and slide back the sunshade here for our panoramic sunroof. Mitsubishi actually makes this available on many of the mid and upper end trim levels. And as you can see, the sunshade's pretty fast and the front panel of the sunroof opens up.
Now here in the rear seats of the Outlander, some of the luxury from the front does continue back here, but first let's check out your space figures. As far as your legroom, you'll be sitting around 40 inches of legroom and then about 39 inches of headroom. That reduces down to about 37.4 with the sunroof, and it is a little bit short back here, even for myself being 5'9". Now I'll go ahead and check out the realistic knee room figure with the official Car Confections ruler. Behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, I'm sitting at about 8 inches of additional knee space. That's pretty good overall. And as far as these seats themselves, they have a lot of customization. You can slide these all the way forward and all the way back as well. I additionally have a little lever down here that, if I can manage to pull it, gets me a good amount of recline as well. There's also quite a few features to check out here on this top model. All Outlanders will have rear air vents. Most of your mid-trims and above will have USBs all the way down there. And then the SEL and above will get the rear climate controls as well as 3-stage heated seats, which I'm enjoying today. Now you also have quite a few pockets back here in the rear of the seats. I do quite like that. And let's go over to the door trim. The SEL will also get the rear window sunshades, which will be nice to have on a sunny day. And the door trim is just as nice as it was in the front. You have tons of the cushy quilted leather going throughout the entire door trim. And then down at the bottom, you have a decent amount of bottle storage. Now, I feel like an important part in every car reviewer's journey is to sit in the third row of the Mitsubishi Outlander. So let's go ahead and dive back there. In order to get back here, you do have a lever on top of the seat to push it forward. It does not tilt, however, and bear with me. Okay. Well, here we are in the third row of the Mitsubishi Outlander. I am 5'9", same height as Mason. And as far as your overall space figures, sitting at about 34.5 inches of headroom and about 18.7 inches of legroom. As you can see, it's definitely one of the smallest third rows money can buy here. Not any extra knee room at all. I did scoot this seat up, by the way, to have a comfortable amount of knee room up there for myself. And it's going to be pretty dang tight. The seats themselves are actually nice and cushy. There are 2 seats back here as well. And as far as overall features, you will have a cup holder, but no USBs or anything. So, as far as how this rates on the Car Confections third row rating scale, this is very obviously fit for bad kids only. Now for the cargo space. Now most of your mid-trims and above will come with a hands-free power tailgate, and that does include this top-end model. And let's go ahead and check out the cargo space for this Outlander. Now behind the third row, you'll be sitting at about 10.9 cubic feet of space. Behind the second row, about 30.6 cubic feet of space. And as a maximum, you'll be sitting just over 64 cubic feet of space. Now that is going to be smaller than things like the Toyota RAV4, the Honda CR-V. So it definitely is on the smaller end of this segment now. Now, if you are concerned with how this does compare with all of the mini competitors in this compact crossover segment, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. On there, we've gone through this segment and ranked them in many categories that are most important to you, the crossover buyer, including things such as space, technology, powertrain, and more. So if you'd like to check that out and go through our rankings, go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, the next big task in any Outlander review is getting the third row, folded down. I will say these headrests are a new design this year. They used to have to take them out all the way, but now you can just kind of fold them down just like that. That certainly makes the process easier. Then we have the number 2 strap. Then here's strap number 3, which allows you to tilt the entire seat over. And then it's back in place, just like that. Easy as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's go ahead and get the second row folded down as well. You just got to hold on to that for a second. I will have to scoot them back, but the seats do fold 40, 20, 40 split, but let me go ahead and fold those down all the way. And this is a Car Confections review after all, so let's get our length, width, and height figures. As far as your overall cargo length, you'll be sitting about 72 inches of length. Now behind the second row, all the way slid back, about 38 inches. Behind the third row, this isn't totally accurate because it kind of moves a little bit, but about 16 inches overall. As far as your overall width, 41 inches of opening width. And as far as height goes, about 31 inches, and that will go a little bit deeper if you have the third row up. As far as your load-in height, you'll be sitting at a pretty average 30 inches as well. Now, underneath this third row, there is not going to be a spare tire or any other features throughout the rear of this cabin. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Mitsubishi Outlander, and in this test drive we're going to be doing quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting things like our sound level reading. But part of this 2026 model year is the all-new engine, so let's start with a hard acceleration.
All right, that was our acceleration to 60 miles per hour. Well, like we mentioned at the beginning, we've got this new powertrain. It's completely different from what it was last year. Now, previously the Rogue was using a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, but now we are switching things up. We're going to a turbocharged 1.5 liter turbo, 4-cylinder of course, paired with a mild hybrid system, and this together makes 174 horsepower and 206 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you're familiar with the Outlander model, you might actually pick up on the fact that that's a little less horsepower. It's 7 less horsepower than it was last year, but you get a big improvement when it comes to torque because you get an additional 25 pound-feet of torque. And I think accelerating overall, it does feel like a little bit quicker just because of that extra torque. You can kind of get off the line a little bit better than before. Compared to the competition, though, 174 is going to be on the lower side for this segment.
So unlike the Rogue that now has a turbo 3-cylinder, like Drew mistakenly called this model at the beginning of this test drive, this model has now gotten rid of its naturally aspirated 4-cylinder in return for a turbocharged 4-cylinder, but this still does also have an additional powertrain option, and that would be the plug-in hybrid model. Now, we don't know all of the details on what this 2026 plug-in hybrid is going to have in store for us, because it is in store to get the refresh that this model received last year, and that will include some powertrain updates as well.
But yeah, this is definitely not fast. There definitely are more quick options that you can select in this segment, but it's not awful, and I do think that overall, compared to that naturally aspirated engine it had last year, like I said, it feels a little bit quicker. I also think it's a little bit quieter overall, so that's good at least. Let's talk about the other element of the powertrain. You might have heard it working. That is the continuously variable transmission. Overall, it's pretty responsive, and you do have a shift simulation on board when you accelerate hard.
Yeah, it's pretty good, pretty convincing for a shift simulation. I will say ones in like the Nissan Rogue will be a little bit more crisp. I would appreciate if maybe they updated that to be a little bit more accurate.
But we're turning out here onto the highway stretch of our test drive today to talk about a couple different things. We'll start with the ride quality. Overall, this is quite comfortable. This platform, which we have mentioned today, is shared with the Nissan Rogue. That's also a very comfortable option in this segment. And even with pretty large wheels, it does absorb your largest bumps quite nicely.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this is going to be a segment leader by any means. Models like the RAV4 and CR-V will definitely outdo it just a little bit, but overall, I think this would be really nice for road trip duty. The seats are overall pretty comfortable throughout the cabin as well, as long as you're not in the third row.
And then the other thing it's time to do is our sound level reading, so I'll make sure I take her back down to 55 miles an hour and we'll get that test.
We are on fan speed 1. We're going to be sitting at 56.6 decibels for this 26 Outlander model, and I don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to all of its rivals. I'll go to carconfections.com/sound level readings. Now overall, that's going to be a fairly quiet reading for this segment. It is a little windy outside, so it's going to be a little bit louder than the model that Drew and I tested last year in 2025, but overall I think you're going to be quite satisfied with the sound deadening in this cabin. So we've been talking about this mild hybrid system throughout this review, but how does it translate to fuel economy? Well, it may not be adding as much as you might think. So for this front-wheel drive model we've been testing today, you'll be sitting at 28 mpg combined. It goes down to 27 if you add all-wheel drive. So that's only 1 mpg more than you would have added last year in the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder model, and overall it's still going to be less than other things like the Nissan Rogue that has its turbo 3-cylinder, and especially less than all of its hybrid competitors. So it's a little disappointing to see that you're getting this new added technology, but you only get 1 mpg extra at the end of the day.
And we're going to declare that to be today's airball because, like Josh was saying, it does seem like with the extra, complication of this powertrain, having mild hybrid, having a turbocharger, that we might be able to achieve a little bit better fuel economy than that.
Yeah, especially when you consider the overall pricing of this model, which we will talk about in just a second. Now, on the slam dunk side of things, I will say that it's just going to be this overall cabin luxury. When you consider all of the leather you have going throughout, the semi-aniline seats, the quilting, it's just really overall a treat to get inside of this model as compared to some of the others in this segment. And now let's talk pricing. Now the Outlander starts about $30,000 this year, and you can see most of the major trims listed on the screen right now. Now as far as this fully loaded model we have today, the SEL is going to start around $39,000, and then once you add quite a few options to it, including that premium package, you're going to be sitting at an overall price of $45,300. Now across the lineup this year, this represents a pretty substantial price increase. We haven't even added all-wheel drive to this model, so you could top out almost close to $50,000 on this model. So that's certainly quite expensive for this segment. Now, if you're concerned as to where the Outlander is made, it's made in Japan. And if you're looking to buy an Outlander or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. On there, we have a tool that will help you get access to things such as invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. You can also access things such as a monthly payment tool as well. If you'd like to check that out, we have a link in the video description as well as a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a car is more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale, reliability, and the warranty. Let's start with resale value. After 5 years and 60,000 miles, this Outlander will be worth about 46.8% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, about 16.6% of original MSRP. Now that is lower than the overall industry average, especially when compared to other makes such as Toyota and Honda.
Now, the same can also be said about reliability. When we take into account the latest reliability data, Mitsubishi is rated below industry average compared to all other vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to check out our reliability and resale data, as well as our methodology, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car is a big decision, so you want to make sure you're doing the right research when it comes to cross-shopping different vehicle makes. Now, when it comes to Mitsubishi's warranty, it does have a very good one. It's going to be about 5 years and 60,000 miles for your basic warranty, 10 years and 100,000 miles for your powertrain warranty, and they also are offering 2 years and 30,000 miles of complimentary maintenance.
Well guys, we hope you enjoyed this in-depth review of the 2026 Mitsubishi Outlander with this brand new powertrain for this year. If you enjoyed getting to see what that new powertrain was like, as well as all of the other details, we would appreciate it if you would hit subscribe down below. When you do that, that allows us to get access to the latest and greatest vehicles and get them out to you guys as soon as possible. If you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.